Okay, so you guys often ask me, how do I come up with video ideas? And this one hit me, quite literally. I was walking down that path and then a female runner came out of nowhere and basically hit me. Now, it was not done on purpose, but it made me think about the fact that I've seen so many female runners lately and they're all so well dressed. So I want to know, what's going on? Well, I can explain. In the last few years, women's sports have gained momentum and top female players are bringing fashion into the equation.
The arrival of the fashion queen of Wimbledon.
This is not new. Female athletes have been using sports arenas as fashion shows for ages. Look at this Y2K look from Serena Williams. What has changed is that now brands are really paying attention to it, noticing women's desire to merge sports and fashion, comfort and style. In the last year alone, Nike has partnered with Skims, and in response, Adidas just dropped their Adidas Originals collection with Tate McRae and other big names. That's for legacy sportswear, but let's be honest, female sportswear isn't exploding because of legacy sportswear. It's exploding because of people like this.
So I will have you know that I am being forced to tell you what my favourite 5 Tana products are. I'm so excited to introduce you to the Runaway collection.
These are the people and industries that want you to spend your whole life in sportswear. Those purchases will generate 100 billion in 2026 and potentially 140 billion in 2031. No one saw this coming because no one took this phenomenon seriously.
People don't take fashion seriously as a whole. So I don't know why we're not taking it so seriously.
I know why.
Go on.
Because women outperform in it compared to other industries. Anything where women statistically make up the bulk of the workplace or tend to outperform is seen as unimportant.
But in this race to win the female sportswear wars, both e-commerce girl bosses and legacy sportswear brands face one big problem, one that has dominated fashion discourse this summer. Polyester.
Activewear brands I'm binning, 80% nylon, 20% elastane, 100% plastic. Are made of plastic. Made from polyamide, polyester and elastane. And another plastic Gymshark set. Polyester and elastane. Not today. Nike, Nike, Nike. Polyester and elastane, gusset lining, 100% polyester. That's the bit that goes right up against your crotch.
Anyway, we've got a lot to cover. This industry needs a little healthy call-out, and I'm here to provide it. So first, I want to understand why women's sportswear has become such a phenomenon. Then I'll look at what this boom means for the people buying the clothes and the people building these brands. And finally, I'll peel back the layers to uncover the invisible relationships that keep the whole industry running. My name's Alice. Welcome back to my channel. The first question I had when I chose to make a video about this topic was, why are so many women turning to sportswear for more than just sports? Because in this video, I'm particularly interested in sportswear brands expanding beyond the world of sports.
This is more lifestyle and more like all day, cool girl kind of vibe. And then we're doing another woven style, which is called Air Move. And that's more performance, way more buttery, way more soft. And it has performance technicalities.
Christy is mostly known as a sports influencer, but she's also the founder of Owner Active. She's also a mom, by the way, so let's be clear, she has a super busy life, and being able to wear comfortable sportswear is something that makes her and other working moms' lives easier. Brands like Tala, run by Grace Beverly, also make sure you can get the best fit out of these comfortable outfits. A little push for the cleavage, a little squeeze around the booty area. Another brand, My Love, founded by former corporate worker Alice went a step further. They seem to specialize in having pockets everywhere, offering women clothing that is actually functional. And I'm not here to promote any of these products, that's not the goal. In fact, I already have a sponsor for this video. Should I talk about it now? Yeah, let's go. This video is sponsored by Proton. So I've had a Proton account for, honestly, I don't even know how many years at this point, because I was getting a bit fed up with how normal email services work, and I just wanted something that felt a bit more private. Over time, I started using Proton Drive as well, and now it's just where I keep all the stuff I'd be annoyed to lose, you see? So things like documents, project files, photos, etc. Basically anything important. The nice thing is that I don't really have to think about it. Everything syncs between my devices. It's all end-to-end encrypted, and not even Proton can see what's in my emails or files. That's kind of the whole reason why I use it. I know my data isn't being scanned for ads or fed into AI models, which is becoming more and more important these days. Another feature I like is the alias. So basically, if you try a new app or sign up for a newsletter, Proton allows you to use an alias instead of your real email address. Similarly, if I need to send someone a file, I can just generate a secure link, put the password on it if I want, or have it expire after a few days. It's one of those features you think you won't be using that much until you have it. So if you're looking for a more private email service or somewhere to store your files without handling everything over to big tech, I would definitely recommend giving Proton a look. You can sign up for free with the link in the description, and it also helps support the channel, so why not? Why not try? Anyway, enough from me, let's go back to the video. But I do find it interesting how these women founders are changing the metrics through which a garment is judged. The popularity of sportswear is bringing comfort and functionality into the language of fashion, which has often been associated with discomfort and purely aesthetic value. What is interesting to me, though, is that we treat this as a revolution in the world of fashion. In many of the promotional videos I watched while preparing this, I noticed how often the word liberation came up. Liberation from having to wear a belt or tight and comfortable clothes, liberation from needing pockets, allowing you to leave the house without a bag. It creates the impression that female sportswear is challenging many of the expectations placed on women. And you know me, I'm always a little bit skeptical with this language of liberation and empowerment, especially when it comes at a cost. So I wondered, what do you actually get in exchange for that so-called liberation? And the answer is obviously less money in your bank account, that's for sure, but also a new set of expectations. You see, the popularity of female sportswear isn't really a revolution or a transformation. It's more of an evolution, one that takes into account a new set of expectations that have developed over the last few years. So what are those new expectations? One is the Pilates body. There's been a lot of discourse around that. And the second is the obsession with wellness. So yes, gym clothes liberate you from uncomfortable fashion items like the belt, the bag, and so on, but they also introduce a new set of pressures. The pressure to be thin, to look ready for a workout at any time of the day, and to constantly signal wellness. These new expectations are so powerful in our society right now that they manage to counterbalance all the assumptions about sportswear. Historically, sportswear worn outside the gym was often seen as cheap or inappropriate. Depictions of working class stereotypes, from the welfare queen to quote white trash, from quote chefs to the French quote cassos, all the stereotypes have often included some form of sportswear. So we can say that sportswear has effectively been gentrified. It is now regularly featured in major fashion magazines and adopted by high fashion brands. Jacques Mus recently partnered with the French football team, ballerinas are being transformed into sneakers, and the list goes on. The women selling sportswear and the women buying it are typically educated young women living in big cities. This is, for example, the story of Tala. This is also the story of Mile Off. The growing popularity of running clubs and gym culture is fueling this gentrification. As I mentioned in my video on third places, the running club has expanded into a whole range of events, from DJ sets to alcohol-free drink lunches, and you're expected to keep your dirty gym clothes on while doing it. Now, the type of sportswear we see in vogue is obviously very different from the type of sportswear sometimes associated with working class communities. The colors are neutral, the style is minimal, the logos are so small you can't even brag about having spent so much money on that thing, the cuts are more conservative, but the lines are still there, and the materials are often the same. Speaking of materials, have you checked the label of your favorite gymwear brand? Mine is cotton, I believe. Oh my god, 30% polyester. It's mostly cotton though. Anyway, I don't know if you've heard about the anti-polyester trend online. The backlash against polyester is mainly due to the fact that synthetic fabrics can be associated with chemicals like PFAS, which are not great for human health. The risks linked specifically to wearing polyester clothing are limited, but the bigger issue is that we're actually constantly exposed to PFAS through many different sources: the water we drink, the pans we cook with. This is still actually Lululemon and other gymwear brands have faced controversy around their use of synthetic materials, as online conversations increasingly criticize brands selling expensive sportswear made from polyester. Now, that backlash perfectly aligns with what we discussed earlier, the obsession with wellness. This is part of what helped sportswear move into fashion in the first place, and as Katie Robinson explained in her video on the topic, it wouldn't be surprising if the sportswear industry gradually moves towards natural fibers to continue reflecting customers' desire to signal wellness to the rest of the world. The female sportswear industry. I was gonna write industrial complex for the title, but I decided a while back that I was gonna ban myself from using the words industrial complex, panopticon, or cultural capital. Funnily enough, I've used the latter in my previous video and will use the former in the next one. I just can't escape the mainstream, you see. But anyway, let's focus on the way the female sportswear industry works, because there's something really interesting and unique about it. As I mentioned in the introduction, the popularity of the female sportswear industry wasn't manufactured from the top by legacy brands. It rather emerged from the bottom up through e-commerce. So it's sponsored by Shopify, and it's their CEO who loves the idea of taking unemployed and working class people's right to vote away. But anyway, enough digressions for today. As far as I can remember, the first gymwear brand that seriously took women's needs into account was Gymshark, because it worked closely with influencers, including female influencers. That's how the seamless anti-camel toe technique became popular. That's how squats at the gym became safe. Then there were controversies with Gymsharks and some dodgy ambassadors they took on. Just before that, in 2019, Grace Beverley, who previously worked with Gymshark, founded her own sustainable female sportswear brand called Tala, which is now a big player in the game.
Hi, I'm Grace. Back in 2019, I founded fashion and activewear brand Tala. It's now 7 years old. We have over 80 employees, and it is the love of my life. And over the past 7 years, it's gone from making a few leggings in my uni room to a proper scale-up business.
Tala inspired a bunch of other female sportswear businesses, which you occasionally see as ads on your Instagram feeds. Grace Beverley has been very open about her experience. She documented her journey and built a fan base of aspiring female bosses who also love Tala as a brand. It uses the things people love about social media, education, lifestyle, self-help, and turns them into a new avenue for generating sales. These marketing strategies are called organic, meaning they don't require the business to directly buy ads. Instead, they rely on growing engagement online and turning that engagement into sales. Now, this marketing strategy is powerful because it makes it seem like anyone can become the next Tala. You just need good reels and TikToks, some good pictures, and there you go. The reality is obviously quite different. Starting this sort of business requires putting aside enough savings or relying on the help of parents, like it was the case for Mile Off.
My parents are the backbone of my small business. For the first 6 months, they shipped every single order out of our home, processed all the returns, and my mum helps with customer service for nothing in return.
But it's true that the barrier to entry isn't huge compared to other types of businesses. Sportswear in particular is simpler to imagine than traditional fashion. The products don't change that much from one brand to another. The tweaks remain relatively minimal, and in some cases, different brands use the same products but simply change the colors. And this led me to realize that there's a bit of an MLM vibe to this. For those of you who don't remember, an MLM, multi-level marketing, is a business where people earn money by selling products and by recruiting others to sell them too. The catch is that many people end up making more from recruiting than selling, so only a small percentage actually earn significant income. In her book Little Bosses Everywhere, How the Pyramid Schemes Shaped America, Bridget Reed argues that MLMs are more than just a business model. They reflect a distinctly American capitalist strategy. You see, rather than simply selling products, they sell the promise that anyone can become their own boss. That promise encourages more people to embrace entrepreneurship, even when the odds are stacked against them. While Tala is not an MLM, Grace Beverley's podcast and content promoting entrepreneurship among women tap into a similar idea. By encouraging more people to start businesses in the sportswear space, she helps grow an entrepreneurial ecosystem that established brands like Tala can also benefit from. And this is not limited to Tala or Grace Beverley. A lot of e-commerce businesses and dropshipping models work in a similar way. That's what Bridget Reed explores in her book. This entrepreneurial promise is a defining feature of American capitalism. You see, it keeps people invested in an industry by making them feel like they could become part of its success. Social media platforms work in a similar way. The incentive to produce content is strong. Post a story, turn your stories into a reel, promote your reel to a larger audience. I mean, Bridget Reed's book title says it all. Little Bosses Everywhere. Okay, now obviously the success of sportswear e-commerce has forced OG sports brands to react. They aren't necessarily great at these new marketing strategies, so they turn to what they do best, writing a big check to a celebrity or partnering with big names. For example, the Nike Skims partnership has that Kardashian aura. They also worked with Lisa from Blackpink. Adidas' response with Tate McRae and other female athletes signals that legacy sportswear brands are ready to spend money on female sportswear. I mean, for those of you who don't remember, back in the days, those OG brands would just do the same stuff as men, but shorter and more like pink and purple. And that was it. That's what was on offer. So yeah, female sportswear has changed a lot. But while everything looks sparkly and fun, from the e-commerce vlogs to the good old advertising campaigns, I'm left wondering, who's truly paying the price of this booming industry? One thing I find quite interesting about emerging e-commerce sportswear is that you can actually see the people working for them. Founders like Grace Beverly or Chrissy Seller vlog constantly, so you can catch glimpses of the women working behind the scenes. When I first noticed this, I remember thinking, oh, that's great, lots of women, they seem happy, they look like they're all friends. What I'm about to say is absolutely depressing, but there's something weirdly exciting about the realness of it. It feels like you're seeing the people behind the brand rather than just the brand itself. But reading Ulysse Loshkin's Le Fil Invisible du Capital made me realize that visibility isn't the same as transparency. Sure, we see the founder, the office, and the team, yet that tells us a little about the relationships that make the business possible. Where are all the clothes actually made? Who captures most of the value? What labor remains outside the frame? The recent online discourse around polyester illustrates this surprisingly well. Conversations have largely centered on whether polyester is harmful for the person buying the leggings, especially following controversies around brands like Lululemon. Meanwhile, far less attention has been given to the people producing synthetic textiles, so people who are exposed to the chemicals and processes involved in textile production every single day. And same, we haven't talked much about the environmental consequences of producing and discarding millions of polyester garments. In both cases, what is most visible is not necessarily what matters most. You can see the product, the founder, and the consumer, but the web of relationships that connects them is much harder to grasp. That, I think, is what the author means by invisible thread, le fil invisible, that is at the heart of the emerging female sportswear industry. And I want you all to be aware of it before you engage with it. But I also want you to recognize that this goes far beyond female sportswear. As Bridget Reed and Ulysse Loshkin warn us, this is one of the ways capitalism sustains itself, by masking its exploitation and cruelty across all sectors. So while we can make better individual choices and resist the urge to buy, we also have to recognize that our power to change things lies in collective action: who we vote for, which organizations we support, and which causes we amplify. I wrote this script in the midst of unprecedented wildfires across my country, France. This summer, Europe has experienced a succession of heat waves that make it easier for wildfires to spread. I was back home for a bit in the countryside, and we had to put little water containers for the birds because everything was just incredibly dry. We got super lucky and witnessed the birth and first flight of some baby birds, but we also saw how desperate their parents were to find insects to feed them. Our government responded to people's distress with an online campaign about how to deal with climate anxiety. The backlash was huge, obviously. It was a reminder that the answer to these crises and to the cancer that is capitalism is not individual, it is collective. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hype. There's a comment section down below, so the conversation continues over there. If you want to join my Patreon, there's a link in the description box. We have a lovely community over there. You get a bunch of perks as well, early access to videos, ad-free content, exclusive content. Can you believe it? We also have a Discord chat. This is all happening on Patreon. Thank you, Proton, for sponsoring the video. You can start using it by clicking in the link in the description box. Also, a big thank you to my Patreons, and a special thank to top tier patrons: Rasoul Malte, I'm literally a frog, I saw you change your name, Foko, you stencil. Ahmed, Sibev, Jose, Navi, Fred, Hongxing Wang, Paul Louis Agenot, Patrick Button, Jeff Lee, Tayab Matin, Nick, Brandon, James, Ojwal, Patrick Riley, Boris, Ria, Koriji, Tristan, Christopher, Jan, Donage, Alex, Manuel, Christopher France, and Perry, and thank you to the other ones who prefer to stay anonymous. I need to go now. Salut!